You will owe nothing and be happy. A slogan from the World Economic Forum a few years back that we're seeing play out more and more by the day, with businesses like Klarna partnering up with just about anyone and subscription model businesses taking over our lives, with the subscription industry being worth 5 times more than it was back in 2014. Businesses offering buy now, pay later are increasing at a rapid rate, with the newest generation, Generation Z, seeming to take the brunt of it all, with them already taking on record-breaking levels of debt with no sign of that trend slowing down soon. But with this record debt, compared to previous generations, Gen Z has almost nothing to show for it, with the money just being spent on fleeting pleasures before moving on to the next thing that catches their interest. So let's see what the future holds for us and the next generations to come, in a world that looks to take every chance of owning anything from us, and see if we'll really be happy owning nothing but debt. Now, subscription model businesses have been around for a while, with one of the earlier cases of this being newspapers or rental cars. It provides people with low commitment options to something that they can just switch off whenever they feel like it. But the subscription industry wouldn't really get going until the advent of mobile phones. Now, initially, the only form of subscription you would typically have on your phone would be your monthly contract to access cell networks, and that would be about it. The phone itself would be a cheap device that was built to last, and you just bought it up front like just about every other piece of technology you would buy back in the day. However, as technology naturally progressed and the capabilities of these phones increased, the prices would increase as well, slowly pushing them out of what most people would be able to afford in one lump sum up front. Phones went from being a tool to allow easier contact between you and other people, to being a status symbol that your whole life revolves around. Not having the newest phone with the highest data would just mean you're poor, and not having access to your phone means you miss out on information from all around the world. So tech and mobile phone companies had an opportunity to revolutionize their businesses and eventually the entire world economy, because they would begin to push the idea that instead of paying for the phone as a single sum and having a separate payment for your network, you would instead pay for both on one contract and pay off your phone over time, allowing you access to it sooner without having to save up thousands of dollars. These same subscription models that tech companies help to make popular have already spread into almost every other industry, with the film and music industries being some of the other biggest adopters of it, completely changing their business model to update to current times. Previously, the only way you would get access to any song you wanted without paying for every album was through sites like Napster and LimeWire, allowing anyone to access and share pirated music across the internet. The only problem was that as far as sustainability goes for these sites, they never really had any. They were making next to no money and never really stood a chance at surviving. Spotify would eventually come along, and although they would follow a similar file sharing model as their predecessors and illegally upload music to get themselves started, they would for the most part play by the rules of the game, even going so far as to change the rules of the industry and allow everyone access to all music across the world, for a monthly fee of course. The music industry giants would allow this change to happen almost solely because the costs and fees of this would be pushed onto the artists and consumers instead, with artists notoriously getting paid next to nothing for millions of streams, even though consumers are paying billions per year for their Spotify subscriptions. And even though people have access to all the music in the world, they're still getting a poor deal from all of this. Because on average, most people aren't constantly listening to new music all the time, meaning you're paying every month to listen to the same music and artists, instead of paying the one sum up front for an album and having access to it forever. The subscription industry is full of small tricks to get people interested and keep them hooked forever, with free trials being the easiest way to get someone on board. As we all know, a free trial never actually feels free, especially when you have to enter your card or bank details just to access it. Billions have been made from people forgetting the end date of their free trial and getting billed immediately once the time period is up, even if they did actually go in with the intent of cancelling the subscription before the end of the trial. Cancellations can often be difficult as well, with multiple hoops you have to jump through just to stop paying for something you don't want to use anymore. The process is designed to be difficult and make you feel guilty by asking why you're cancelling, with the intent of making you lose any interest in cancelling the subscription, and to make you think that, well, it's only a couple of dollars a month, and I can't really be bothered to deal with all this hassle, so I may as well just leave it. One of the simplest tricks these companies do involves their billing period. Most months of the year have either 30 or 31 days in them, but to companies offering subscriptions, they bill on a 28-day month period, meaning that although there is only 12 months in a year, they can actually charge you for 13 months worth of subscriptions, all in an effort to squeeze even more money out of you as the years roll by. And the industry hasn't stopped trying to find new ways to get access to your wallets, with Amazon, Netflix and other streaming services coming up with a new idea they've started implementing more recently. Previously, when you used something like Prime Video or Netflix, you paid for the subscription and that was about it. You were granted access to everything they offered. even if sometimes you had to pay for films or shows on Prime, along with already having paid for access to begin with. But now they've all started offering new tiers, a trick they've always used, but this time with a new twist. Because now you're paying for your subscription while still getting ads, meaning you're paying to be advertised to. And if you want to get rid of these ads, then you're going to have to pay for an even higher tier to get rid of them, at least until they inevitably implement ads to their higher tiers as well. The shift of subscriptions to the real world has begun as well, with companies like BMW offering subscriptions to heated seats in their cars. Now eventually this decision was reversed, however they will still be offering subscription-based services in their cars, but currently just for software-based items. The backlash these companies face doesn't seem to matter to them either, as companies like Netflix have realised that even though they continue to increase prices and take features away, resulting in many people leaving their service, they still continue to see record growth and profits from the people that stick around to watch the bare minimum they offer, and people that forget they were even subscribed in the first place. Sites like Netflix began as a place to compete against the cable companies, a cheaper alternative for everyone. Instead of paying multiple cable subscriptions to access each individual show, you could access it all on Netflix and pay just one fee. However, all that's happened now is with all the different streaming platforms like Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus and Apple TV, the shows are split up between them all again, meaning all that's happened is instead of paying multiple cable companies, you're just paying multiple streaming services. These subscriptions are beginning to pile up massively on young generations, with many of them being unable to save anything. Combine the inability to save from content expenses being taken out monthly from subscriptions, and inflation pushing prices of everything higher and higher, and it's not hard to see why Gen Z are seeing record levels of debt. Credit card debt alone has increased over 50% for Gen Z in the past few years, and with unemployment numbers increasing in this generation, it doesn't look as if this debt is going to be decreasing anytime soon. So it's not hard to see either why companies offering buy now, pay later models have been increasing more and more in the past few years, just adding another layer to the debt people are already in, with companies like Klarna partnering up with Deliveroo and DoorDash allowing people to pay off their meal over the next 3 months. The idea of buy now, pay later got its start back in 2008, when 3 university economic students in Sweden took part in an entrepreneurship competition. Their entry to the competition would be this new way of selling products where customers could simply buy now and pay later. The idea, however, was laughed at by judges and other participants, with the judges telling the students that their idea would never actually make any money. Not to be put off, however, the students were adamant that this would work out, so they stuck to it and after a few years eventually found investors to back their business, Klarna. Not long after finding their financial backing, they would expand quickly from Sweden into the rest of Europe and finally to the rest of the world, with them now looking for a $15 billion IPO into the stock market. A brilliant idea for the 3 founders and congratulations to them, however the effects this now has on everyone else will become clear to see over the next few years. Although you can pay off your DoorDash or Deliveroo order over the next 3 months interest-free, if you miss one payment, you can quickly see late fees start to pile up. Purchasing something on your credit card through Klarna instantly leads something that could have been a simple purchase worth less than $100, now being 2 forms of debt to your credit card company and Klarna. And the people who are making purchases like this are the least likely to be able to pay it off, meaning late fees are inevitable and the never-ending debt spiral continues. And the debt spiral is exactly where you'll need it to be for these companies, constantly owing something to someone, never being able to really own anything or break out of the cycle. And with companies like Klarna growing in popularity, you now aren't even able to purchase and own the food you eat or the clothes you wear. Everything has been stripped away from people, with nothing but experiences of taking part for a short while being what's sold now. The idea of waiting and delaying gratification now for a bigger reward in the future has in many cases been almost completely eroded away, with just short fleeting pleasures being all people desire now. To sit back and watch Netflix, listen to Spotify and order DoorDash, whilst paying for it all with a credit card through Klarna. Sure, the bills will come eventually, but not for a while, and by that point you'll have already gotten the enjoyment out of these things, likely not realising just how much you've spent until you start missing payments and those small bills add up. Now with the stress of repayments needing to be made, you need another hit of dopamine to make you happy for another short while to take your mind off things, falling deeper and deeper into the cycle whilst your debt goes higher and higher.